as a puppet conservationist.
All right.
So this is Jeff Domke.
It's like a little reunion.
It is. Getting a really cool perspective of the museum.
I'm literally the last person who's ever puppeteered these puppets.
So 5 basic types of rod puppets, hand puppets, shadow puppets, string puppets.
We are Gio and JC. Welcome to our channel. We have adopted the mantra of happiness is a lifestyle. Thanks for being here, everyone.
So now we are sitting in front of one of my favorite places in Atlanta, near and dear to my heart, the Center for Puppetry Arts. And this is the premier center in the United States celebrating the history of puppetry all the way from ancient times to the present. And a dear friend of mine is meeting us here. I could say ours because now Juan Carlos knows him. If you go back and watch our Dollywood video, my friend Vito joined us at Dollywood. Well, Vito lives here in Atlanta. Vito is an incredible designer, and he's also a puppet conservationist. And he had the distinct honor of actually doing all the conservation on all of the Jim Henson puppets that are on display here at the museum. And guess what? He's meeting us here. So we get to get a little bird's eye view from his perspective, but I do want him to tell you all a little bit about the work that he did here at the center. And then also my friend Jeff Domke, who I used to perform with as a puppeteer, he works here at the center and he's also going to meet us. So we're getting a really cool perspective of the museum. Stay tuned for that.
Very exciting.
Yeah? Do you have a favorite Muppet character that you're hoping to see in the museum?
Gonzo.
Yeah. I think the great Gonzo is here, which is cool.
The Piggy.
Piggy's here, Kermit. Yeah, lots of some of the obscure characters too from the Muppet.
I wonder if they have the really big one, the monster, the one with the big teeth.
The one with the big teeth.
Yeah, it's like a monster. He's gigantic. He's really big.
I don't know. I don't know which one you're talking about. Maybe are you talking about Sweetums
I don't
from
remember his
the
name.
Muppet Show?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that like at Disney at the 3D movie comes out at the end and throws the imaginary water on the audience. His name is Sweetums.
Okay. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I don't know if they have him here or not.
Yeah, when I was little, I was scared of him.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
No. Well, he's not so scary. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll see you guys in a minute. I want to be a dentist.
There's a little wire for his nose to light up and Rudolph. And
Wow. Really? How did they find these?
All right, so we're here in the Center for Puppetry Arts.
You know,
I'm going to point over here. Over there, that's Vito. Vito, say hi.
Hey, hi, Vito.
That's Vito. That's Jeff Domke.
hi, I'm Jeff Domke, also
He's-
known as a puppet.
He's the puppet dude. And Vito is a conservationist who worked on restoring a lot of the Henson Muppets and puppets and
They did.
It's
Over
amazing.
350 of them.
over 350 puppets. But we're sitting in a room right now with an iconic, we've got Rudolph and Santa from the classic Burl Ives. Pretty cool. And oh my God, there's Emmett Otter in the Jug Band.
Yes.
Yep.
Did you work on those?
I did. I worked on probably every single one of those.
You did?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Oh, so. Where's my light, girl?
Wait, let's find our light. The lighting is so great in here. Wait, come over here, Vito.
Okay. So, should I just tell them what
Just
I
tell
Okay.
everybody what did you do as a puppet conservationist?
All right, so I'm a hi, buddy. So I'm a puppet builder and mascot builder. That's what I specialize in. And I was brought down here to Atlanta from New York City, where I was living for 19 years. And my client, who I have a client that I work for. She designed the Philly Fanatic, which is the mascot of the Philadelphia Phillies. This is going to be a long story. So her name is Bonnie Erickson. Bonnie Erickson is the creator of Miss Piggy and Waldorf and Statler.
Oh, cool.
And the Swedish Chef and Zoot from Muppets. What's that band? Oh my gosh, I can't think today.
The Mayhem.
The Mayhem. Anyway.
I'll help you out.
So I was getting ready to leave New York to move to LA to be a big comedic actor, and Bonnie was like working for the Hensons. She was the executive director of the Jim Henson Legacy, which oversaw the donation of 500 Muppets puppets and props to the Center for Puppetry Arts here. And so they were looking for someone to conserve all these puppets. I wouldn't really call myself a conservator because, you know, those are museum people who go through training and
Take the credit.
all that stuff. But they did bring me down here for 2 days to be trained on very specific materials that I was allowed to use. And they brought 2 New York City conservators from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Metropolitan Museum of Art. And they trained me for 2 days. And oh, look, there's Jim. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, and
Look,
so
something shiny. Jim
that's how-
Henson.
I know. Oh,
He's
gone.
on the Ed Sullivan
Anyway,
show.
so yeah, I was asked to come here temporarily, and I've lived here now 9 years, and I work off and on here at the Puppet Center. But I did spend 3.5 full years, full time, fixing all these Muppets with a partner, not a work partner. His name is Rusovic, and he basically focused on all of the labyrinth and dark crystal stuff, which we'll see at the end of the museum. And he did Muppets as well, you know, like the Muppety Muppets. But that's mostly what I did.
Okay.
Because I specialized in the foam and the fur, and he specialized in latex.
Gotcha.
And together, we fixed over 500 plus things.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, Vito and I used to do puppetry together back at Disney.
Walt Disney World.
Yeah, Walt Disney World. All right, I want to bring Jeff Domke in here, the puppet dude.
Come on in, dude.
So he can tell you what he does here at the museum. So this is Jeff Domke.
It's like a little reunion of
is.
the Disney crew.
We are the Disney crew.
We,
Yes.
Just
We
for
were
you.
all puppeteers together at Walt Disney World at one point of our lives.
Yes.
And we all would probably say one of the greatest jobs we ever had.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really was.
I loved it. I loved it. I did full-time staff or crew, what we
Yeah.
call ourselves then. Full-time,
Early mornings, traveling.
all around Central Florida.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, Jeff, what do you do now as a puppet dude here at the Center for Puppetry Arts?
So I started at the Center for Puppetry Arts in 2001. I was hired as an outreach instructor, part of the education department, because the Center for Puppetry Arts focuses on 3 areas. That's puppet shows. We have them for all different ages. We have theater for the very young, for all ages. We call it family series, and we have adult shows. So there's shows here, and then in addition to that, we have our museum, which you are probably going to see here in this video or other videos, where we have a museum of puppet collection from all around the globe is one part of our museum, and the other part is all the Jim Henson stuff, even past when he passed. And then the third department we have is our education department. I'm the associate education director there. So my job is to design the puppets you might build when you come here. When you see a family series show, there's a puppet called a Creative Puppet Workshop, where you actually build a puppet. Instructor leads you through the steps if you come with a school group, or if you come as a family during the weekend, you would follow instructions. We have videos that show you how to build the puppets, and they're pretty cool. You won't see them anywhere else. We prep all the materials here, design them here. So right now for this show, we're doing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer as a shadow puppet. So my job, like today, I go out to schools, churches, camps, senior living facilities, and teach puppetry. I teach everything from puppet history to how puppets are used in other cultures, how to build puppets, how to manipulate puppets to bring them to life. So I do like private lessons, or I teach a group. We do team building workshops also, where we have corporations come in and they bring like 15 people, and we do some training based on a Japanese style puppetry, where it's 3 people on 1 puppet. And I wear many other hats. I do. Sometimes I get to travel to learn more for professional development. I went a year and a half ago. I went to Bologna in Italy.
My favorite city in Italy, by the way.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Oh my God. So my friend Ricardo is there, and I studied with him for a week, and I did a little presentation on the center and my history as a puppeteer. So that's kind of what I do now. I have lots of years. I think in April and May it'll be 30 years as a professional puppeteer.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing.
So I've done TV stuff and
Yeah.
Disney. I did Lion King show.
That's right.
Disney crew and some parade stuff and character stuff. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go see some
Great
museum
history.
stuff.
Let's do it. Thank you for sharing what you do here.
No, thanks for being here.
And-
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too. And I'm so happy and I'm honored that the two of you took time out of your busy schedules to spend some time with Juan Carlos and I. It means the world to me.
I love Juan Carlos and you. Juan
Yeah.
Carlos.
I have
Have
one
you
more
been
question
drinking?
for the two of you.
Yeah.
Oh, here
It's
I'm
a
back.
tough one. I'm going to put you on the spot. Out of all of the puppets here at the museum, or all the puppets that you've worked on,
Yeah.
is there a favorite?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's your favorite?
So first of all,
I know who this is going to be.
him.
Oh,
He's my favorite puppet. Grover is just my favorite Muppet of all time, and I got to work on him, so that was very exciting when he was on my desk. But there is a puppet of a dragon that is probably resting, as we call it, in storage. Okay. His name is Butane, and he's a dragon. And he was part of a CBS pilot called Puppet Man, I think.
Okay.
So it was a puppet show within a. It was basically a sitcom. Should I be looking? It's basically a sitcom. We can look it up on YouTube. Basically, it was a sitcom about a children's television puppet show.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so the show was about like the cast and the main character of the puppet show within the actual sitcom. His name was Butane.
Hi, Butane.
Hi. Come on out and play.
I can't come out till I hear the sound of a cuckoo.
Sound of a cuckoo? Oh, what's that?
I'm not sure. But let me try pulling this rope here.
Oh, okay. That's the sound of a cuckoo.
But yeah, he's. I know. If I'm ever here working and I have to go into the storage room, he's in a display case in there.
And you say hello.
Yeah.
And what about you, Jeff?
We have a puppet that made by Handspring Puppets out of South Africa. His name's Top Thorn. He was from Warhorse.
Okay.
The show, the live show. And it's stunning, big, beautiful horse.
Warhorse, was that on Broadway? Or
It was in London.
okay.
And
I didn't know if it came to
but
New York.
it traveled to the States here, and I got to see a show of it at the Fox Theater here. And they also did one of the puppeteers. I've actually worked with him before, did a workshop with him, but they did a little workshop on how they would move the puppets.
Okay.
And it was magical.
Oops, sorry.
And then I have my favorite Muppet here is we have Ralph from 1969.
Oh, I love Ralph the dog.
He looks.
Ooh, we're gonna see him.
We're going to
this year.
hear a cool story about him too from him.
So
Awesome.
I am
So, yeah.
confirming that the TV show.
Looks like you could use a drink.
Nice. That's good.
Can I like a grasshopper, please? Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to learn
Do it.
near. Here I am near, and now I am
Anyway.
far.
I also love
Now
Gonzo.
I am up, and now I am down.
Yeah.
And Grover.
Gonzo.
Dave
We're
Gold
gonna
is
we're gonna have a
Gonzo and Grover.
I don't know if we're filming this
Gonzo.
whole tour or whatever, but
We'll film parts
we're
of it.
gonna have big conversations about Gonzo.
Okay, cool.
He's really sort of. We are the only ones who have one, and there's a whole reason why it's been all these years since we got one, and I'll explain it all.
Well, that's cool. You heard that here. So if
Yeah.
you ever want to see Gonzo and you're a Muppet fan, you can only see him here
You can only see
at
him
the Center
here.
for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta. Yep.
I am confirming that the CBS show was called Puppet Man, and it was a pilot in 1987. You can find it on YouTube.
All right.
And then I don't remember what the name of the puppet show inside the show was.
Okay.
But that's where Butane.
That's where you can see Butane.
Wow, that's cool.
That's
Thanks.
fun.
And
All
you know
right,
what?
Let's
You-
go see the museum.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's all-
The reindeer from the Ed Sullivan Show with Jim Henson. Here they are, doing their thing.
Now what's funny is. Okay, it's not funny. All right.
Did you conserve those?
I did.
Yeah.
I did conserve these, and this one with the red was Jim's, and the guys in the green were all the other puppeteers. I'm assuming Frank Oz, because you can hear his voice in this video. But before I conserved them, and I'll explain this all in the big museum. You know, I'm literally the last person who's ever puppeteered these puppets.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Because now they're basically stuffed animals. There's armatures inside of them that are made of plastic, and depending on which puppet I fixed when,
Right.
that cannot be removed ever. So it's like their heads are
So
full
they're
of-
static now.
They're basically stuffed animals.
Got it.
We're not, because of museum quality assurance, we're not allowed to put metal inside of these puppets.
Oh,
So
okay.
the only metal I could put in, which is most likely in their mouth pallets, is an armature wire because it doesn't rust or off gas. But I still had to wrap it in a very special material and hot glue. Hot glue because it's plastic and it'll never go away.
Right.
So this lock line is made of plastic, and maybe one of the puppets in the museum you'll be able to see an example of the lock line. I should have brought some with me to show you. Now we basically have an entire set of these. So the museum is split in two different sections. We have the Jim Henson collection, which is all Muppets, everything from the Jim Henson Company. And then this side is our global collection, so it is literally puppets from around the world.
Okay.
Okay.
Broken into different regions and stuff.
Just gotta find somebody who would like to have.
We're going to do a quick walkthrough of the global collection
Poking me in the
because
eye.
Jeff had a good point that we want to see how all of the ancient puppetry influenced Jim Henson in his creations.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And our first section's America.
Of course.
It's a salute to all nations, but mostly
To all
America.
nations, but mostly America. I miss the.
We got all kinds of stuff, all different styles, because there's typically 5 basic types of puppetry found around the world, around the globe. And that's the 5 basic types of rod puppets, hand puppets, shadow puppets, string puppets, and like body puppet or parade puppets. So
Are we keeping you awake over there, Guido?
Oh, my life is exhausting.
So you can see this is a native from the Northwest Coast, a native transformation mask where it opens up.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a native
It's a
thing.
mask?
Yeah.
Cool.
I love that.
So it opens up with those strings and has like you can see on the side it has a face to it.
Oh, look at that. But they're due for a good switch over. It seems like the ice of this one follows them.
Yeah, they're actually I think they're just thumbtacks. Rounded thumbtacks or like
Oh yeah, that's what it looks like.
furniture maybe.
Oh yeah. They're called studs.
Yeah, it's Benedito from this
You're right.
Lingo from
Those
Eastern
are
Brazil.
absolutely upholstery.
Puppets you might, Tony Sarn, of course, is the guy who started all
Right.
the basic stuff. So here's one of his earlier
I didn't know that.
marionettes, and then of course Bill Baird, who did the stuff for Sound of Music.
So these were display puppets like in the Macy windows in New York, or
No, not necessarily. That was used probably in a performance of. I can't read it. I don't know what show that was used in.
Mad Hatter, obviously.
So Bill Baird, 3 of my old bosses all worked for Bill Baird. He had his own theater on 42nd Street in New York, which is now Theater Row.
Right.
All the off-Broadway theaters. But yeah, they all worked for Bill Baird, and my old boss that taught me on the Bill puppets worked for Bill Baird doing a puppet show at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg.
There's Madam.
There's Madam.
She sat on my desk for 2 months because she had a tear in her finger, and every time they came to take her away, I was like, oh, I haven't gotten to it yet.
You just liked hanging out with
I
Madam.
loved her so much. I was like, you're not taking Madam from me.
Yeah, Madam is still performing.
Yeah, there's
Joe Kovacs.
Yeah, Joe.
Do you know Joe?
I don't know Joe, but I've seen a special about him.
Yeah.
You know him?
I know him. He's
Yeah.
a friend of mine.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
And-
He's a
and-
great guy. And then George Ladshaw. At one time, like when I first started here, maybe.
Yeah.
Corpse Bride.
His face is a little different. It's a little It's knocking the gingers.
There he is,
Good
Chucky.
reputation.
Scary.
We just saw him at Universal.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Puppetry.
Found object puppetry. I love
So
it.
you can see like there's a mask, like for a catcher's mask,
Oh, yeah,
and then parts of lamps for the arms probably, and then a plastic barrel, a little gumball machine, a plastic pin for bowling. So all kinds of really cool stuff. You could kind of, if you really look at it, you can see.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
it's all based on Commedia dell'arte from Italy originally, and people in England could not pronounce Punchinello's name, so they would just call him Mr. Punch.
Ah.
So, and then you had Judy, his wife, and they had a baby, and it was all very violent, and they used a thing on the swazzle, goes in the back of your throat, that makes their pitch of their voice really high, so they could travel, the sound could travel farther away.
Oh, cool.
So these are all different puppets from like Germany, France, they got Guigny all over there from France, and they're all glove puppets. So you usually have 1 or 2 fingers inside the head, and then your hands come out. So
I gotcha.
Yeah, so that is Punch. That's someone else. That sometimes the heads are much bigger. He always has a hook nose, a hunchback. He has legs, and he's always wearing red.
And he beats his wife.
And he beats his
Very,
wife. And a
very,
policeman,
yeah, very violent.
and a crocodile.
But hilarious!
Violent,
That's
but
where
funny.
slapstick came from. The term slapstick.
But hilarious!
Yeah, the term
Yes.
slapstick came from Punch and Judy.
Did you hear that? The term slapstick comes from Punch and Judy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because he carried a stick and would beat. But here's a crocodile.
That's cool.
It's part of that guy that made that, Ken Bernard. It's not that old. It's from 1984. But now the shows are much more calm, so kids can watch them. So they're not as violent. So they've changed a little bit.
They've calmed them down. No more violence.
But in
Everything's-
Bologna, they do the same thing. My
Are they
favorite
violent
part-
still?
No, but they do, the same kind of glove puppetry based on Commedia dell'arte characters. So I actually have one in my collection. I have a Dr. Balanzone, and I carved a hand in the studio too.
There's Scar.
That's the prototype for Scar on Broadway. Got some puppets from Turkey. Catagos right here, very famous. Catagos and Hajima.
Oh, those are the shadow puppets. Yeah.
Shadow, they're translucent, usually made out of camel skin. And Puppeteer performs those. Here's some
I
other
love shadow
puppets.
puppetry.
And these are, some of these are from Cyprus. These are from Iran, these two puppets. I have one of those.
That's so cool.
Oh, we don't have them out. But yeah, it's really interesting, the puppetry. These are Czech marionettes. They have a rod that comes out of the top of the head. It has a special control at the top that connects to the knees.
They're so little.
They are, yeah.
So intimate.
So, yeah, there's a troupe. I don't know if they're still performing. I haven't seen them forever. Called the Foreman Brothers. And they're just like 5 feet away or whatever, those puppets. And they control them from below. They stand in the water. And it's magical. There's a lot of that on the YouTubes.
Is this popular in Asia or what part?
Only in Vietnam.
Vietnam.
And there's theaters now with a pool actually in the theater. And
Really?
musicians on the side. It's very much touristy now, I have to admit. But it used to be in the flooded rice fields. Perform it. So that's like in a theater and there's musicians.
Amazing. I love this
But
turtle.
it is really cool. It's made out of a special wood where they soak it in water and then they carve it out. And it's really cool. But I have a couple of these in my collection too.
Very cool.
Oh, I love the turtle.
Yeah, really cool, huh?
And over here we got other Asian puppets from China. Some marionettes. We've got some puppets from Taiwan and China. It's glove puppets, but they do a lot of like really cool battle scenes and stuff. They used to be really text heavy, but now his face is normally exposed. I think there's just 2 on that one.
Yeah. Oh, there's
his
3.
face- yeah. So his face, this one is. That's the lead puppeteer who controls the head with their left hand and the right hand. And they work. It takes 10 years to master each step. So here's some examples of them and what they look like inside.
They're beautiful.
Yeah. It's very, very strict art form. R-rated, so kids do not see these shows. The theme of the story is very R-rated.
Very adult.
From
Yeah.
adultery to suicide to all kinds of different adult type things.
Wow.
So yeah. This is the style of puppetry we base our team building workshops on. Ravana, one of the deities.
Yeah.
So cool, right?
That is all crushed shells.
Oh wow.
And this was gold leaf because I can't tell you how much of it sort of flaked off while I was cleaning it. I had to be really careful.
Wow.
It just took forever.
So Vito cleaned this theater with
Theater.
Q-tips. How many Q-tips?
1,000.
About 1,000 Q-tips.
Because
Painstaking.
Q-tips come in a pack of 1,000.
Okay, he went through a whole.
I'm done now. I use it.
But look at that. And that was buried in the ground in China. Amazing.
And it's from Taiwan, I think I just
Oh,
read.
Just the
No, but still,
just the theater or also the
it's found in puppets. The theater itself. I don't know where the puppets came from. First room basically is showcasing the first puppet show he did. He wanted to work in film and television,
Right.
and so he answered a local ad in think he was living in D.C., but he was living in Baltimore, so maybe it was Baltimore. But he answered an ad to be a puppeteer on this TV show called Sam and Friends, and that was his very first show.
And then didn't he do a lot of advertising too?
Yep, and we'll get to that. And this is his wife, Jane. And so because this was based in D.C. and Baltimore, when the Henson children donated all these puppets, they donated to 4 museums. And the first museum they got to choose whatever they wanted was the Smithsonian.
Okay.
So the Smithsonian took 90% of the Sam and Friends puppets. So you will see those in the Smithsonian on display. We only got 2. We got this gal and some other guy named Omar. So Omar is resting in storage.
Okay.
And the other museums that got puppets were the Museum of the Moving Image in Astoria, New York. So they have a lot of famous puppets, and then they gave some puppets to a film and television museum in LA, and we were the last ones to get to choose.
Okay.
But we got almost all of the one-of-a-kind things.
It's Ralph. Sing me a song, Ralph. I love Ralph. Yeah, talk to us about Ralph.
Ralph, this is the 3rd oldest Ralph in existence.
Okay.
And if you look really close to the roots of his fur, I noticed that when I was working on him that his fur seemed really stiff, and I was like, why is that? And then if you look, he originally was gray. He was originally made gray because he's so old that they were only filming in black and white back then.
Oh.
So they made him gray. They didn't even bother coloring him. And then someone, somewhere along the line, spray painted him or did something to make him brown.
Brown?
Yep.
So, but on the Muppets, he wasn't gray.
No, on the Muppets he
On the
was
TV
brown.
show.
Once color came into the world,
Yeah,
you know,
then
into
they
the
spray
TV
painted
world,
him.
then they made him out of brown fur.
Oh, okay.
But there's another puppet in here that I'll show you that was also gray, and they painted him purple. An early desk of his, and if you look at this picture, you will see some of the things in there that are on this wall, like the needle point and this moose. And actually, the guy who made that moose was here on opening day.
Uh-huh.
I didn't meet him or see him, but someone told me he was here. That Kermit lamp did sit on his desk. These blocks are blocks that Jim made for his children. Some of these papers are just like photocopies or recreations of the real thing. Right, it's not the actual real thing, and I don't know about that book, but those are definitely real gold records and real Emmy Awards.
Nice.
There's that
Commercials.
LaCroix dragon, and here's how they did the effect down here. It shows all that stuff. Now I believe those are actual photographs that the Hensons donated. A lot of the stuff in the upcoming room is stuff that the Hensons just donated as set decorations.
Oh, okay.
There was a company.
Oh, that's right. That's the black and white.
Yeah.
I forgot Ralph did commercials before he was ever on the Muppet Show. Who's peeking over here?
This is Sopwith the camel.
Sopwith the camel.
And now, fun story about this, Carrie Klein was here.
Oh, I love Carrie Klein.
Yeah, I keep taking my glasses off because I don't want the world to see me with reading glasses on. Carrie Klein was here a couple months ago, and she is dating a gentleman named Mike Quinn, who is a British guy who was on the Muppet Show, and when he walked in this room, he was the back half of this camel.
Oh, really? Was he like shocked to see it? Like, was
Yeah,
he...
I mean, to take him through this museum
How cool
and
is that?
to hear his stories up against the research I did and the things that I worked on, Carrie was just like, this
That's
is
amazing.
like a dream come true. I'm dating the guy who was in that. This is my friend who's fixed it all.
That's amazing.
But they put a curtain between the first and second hump because he was just so big to put like fully in here.
Right.
So there is a whole second half of a camel back there, and his legs are in storage. They went out and bought a coat and made me cut that out as a tribute to how Jim made Kermit for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Jim's very first Kermit was made out of an old green house coat of his mother's.
Wow.
So they just went out and bought a green coat and said, hey, we cut this out. And what's funny is the patterns they put over here in the display case.
How fun.
Those are just kids' shoes. That's just set decorating. But a lot of, like I said, a lot of this stuff, like this star, that was donated by the Hensons, right? But it's not like logged in as
being reused
as being donated as an archival piece. Like there is paperwork on each one of these puppets and insurance on each one of these puppets, but then they gave us a bunch of stuff to just throw in here that's not been logged in or anything, you know?
Gotcha.
And I didn't conserve any of that, so that might
decay. So yeah, that's classic foam in there.
And I'll explain all that. This red fur they sent to us, I don't know if it's, I don't think they ever used it. It says Elmo fur on it. And I think it was an attempt to be used as Elmo's fur, but they didn't use it because it's not even the same kind of fur that they would normally use. And I thought that was pretty neat. So that actually came from the Henson shop.
That's fun. I love that there's an arm sticking out of the box that says arms.
Yeah, and I made those. Those aren't real. I made those. But the whole thing about this room is it's like a recreation of their studio. And so the whole reason I had my job, if you come over here.
Is this what, like recreation of the New York studio?
Yeah, it's just like an example of a costume shop, but this is what you'd find in a Henson shop. So if you look here, because you know this, all the Muppets were made out of, not all of them, but many of the Muppets were made out of reticulated foam.
Right.
That is called Scott foam, and the reason it's called Scott foam is because it was made by a company called the Scott Foam Company.
Oh, okay.
And I don't really know what it was originally used for, but it's very durable and you can sew into it. The reason I had my job here is because after 20 years, this stuff is going to disintegrate and turn into sand.
Yeah.
And I wish I brought my jar of sand with me because I have jars of it at home and I like to show people. But again, this was donated as an afterthought, so I didn't protect that, so that might just fall apart someday soon.
Well, that's very much, this was the interior of the Disney Crew puppets as well.
Yes.
That started disintegrating.
Here's my cutouts. But see, like, so my job was, because these puppets came basically deflated, and so my job was to get rid of all of that sand and to clean it out with special filters and special things, brushes and whatever. And then I had to rebuild their bodies. But since I wasn't allowed to use toxic glue or this foam again, I made mock-ups of their bodies with cushion foam.
Okay.
And the bad glue. Right? Yeah. And then I had to remake then I would make a pattern, right? And once I got it right, I made a pattern and then made it out of basically batting.
Okay.
So there's a thick kind of batting called new foam. I don't know if there's an example in here, but it's just thick batting, basically.
Is that that's foam?
No, that's just cushion foam.
Yeah.
Are these different size eyes?
So these are eyeballs. This is called vacuform. So it's like a plastic sheet, and this is a vacuform machine. I'll explain how it works. So they would have like concrete or solid shapes, right? And they would put them on this machine, and if you took that off, the machine is full of like a bunch of air holes, like an air hockey machine, like an air hockey game. And what you do is you take the plastic, which is flat, and you stick it in the oven and heat it so it's pliable. You stick it on top of this thing real quick, and you attach a hose, and it sucks the plastic down and around. And that's how they made eyeballs.
Gotcha.
I mean, originally, yes,
which are here.
Ping pong balls.
Yeah. Tell me what's in this case here.
Okay, so this right here, this is Bonnie Erickson's toolkit that she would bring to the Muppet Show.
Wow.
So she donated that to be on display here in New York. They have, so they still make all the puppets for Sesame Street. And so for TV, they literally have a cabinet full of drawers where you open it up and it's strictly eyeballs. So you'll see that, I'll I'll take you in the next room and you'll see that they have basically blank puppets that are sort of like Mr. Potato Head.
That they could fill in.
That they would come into the drawer and take a pair of ears and pin them on. They would take a pair of eyes and pin them on, because a lot of it was just like temporary.
Sure.
And then after they shot something, they would take them off. Now, most of the stuff in these drawers I made for the display, but like these tongues are actual Henson tongues that they made. I made all these hands, but this weird brown and orange one is real, and these two little worms are Henson carved.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, but here's the thing. I don't know why they made me make hands, because at the Henson shop, you would never find a drawer full of hands because it would just be part of the puppet, right?
Yeah.
And they were always attached to an arm.
Yeah,
so,
and had armature wires and.
But I did make like these noses, and they did have like a drawer of noses, and I specifically picked noses. This is Guy Smiley's nose.
That looks like Bert from Bert and Ernie.
This is Sweetums. Yeah, that's either Bert or. But I have like a Jim Henson book, and like opened up to a page that had like all this stuff on it, and like I recreated all the stuff that was on that page.
Cool.
This dog was.
So this dog was in Storyteller, which was part of the Jim Henson Hour, and he was an animatronic. So this mechanism right here would be attached to somebody's hip, and they would be able to move, and all these things are connected to a cable that were electronically gone through his body, and there were little things like just to make a snarl, just to make like his eyelids go up, just a little bit of this to do that, and it's fascinating.
All the servo stuff.
And Jim Henson's son, Brian, that's for the kids. Jim Henson's son, Brian, worked this puppet. And possibly made it? I don't think he made it.
It says Jane. Jane
Gutnick. Okay, so but Brian did manipulate this puppet, and when he was here on opening day, he was very mesmerized by the fact that it existed.
That it was here. That's great.
So the Henson Company, even though they donated all this stuff, they didn't give me research, right? It was between Russ and I to sit on YouTube all day long and Wikipedia and Muppet Wikipedia and all this stuff to find all this information and to find photos online. Thank God for the internet. That's how I was able to like put it all back together best I could.
Amazing.
So there's like a ethafoam behind it, which is like a pool noodle. It's like plastic foam. And in fact, because I can't put metal in any of these things, a lot of them have pool noodles inside of them.
Okay.
Because they're archival. They'll never disintegrate.
Here they are, Bert and Ernie.
Here they are. These two came to me in a box attached by armature wire. They were used in a display somewhere where Bert was holding balloons, and it was like suspended from the air. And Ernie was wrapped around his legs.
Oh, cute.
And I wish I had pictures to show you, but they were completely deflated, and they just looked horrible. And we basically they were like Siamese twins. We had to separate them because they were connected by wires. And then we
rebuilt him.
I did him and Russ did him. I don't quite understand the whole
bottle cap thing?
Bottle cap thing, because I guess.
Well, Bert had a bottle cap collection.
Bert, what could be more exciting than a parade or a circus or a birthday party, huh, Bert?
My bottle cap collection.
I don't know that. I should know that? I should know that.
Yeah, he collected bottle caps on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
There he is.
Is Big Bird alone? Sometimes he has a partner with him. He had Oscar in there with him. He's big. Now here's something interesting.
Carol just passed away too.
Oh, did you ever watch I Am Big Bird?
Yes. Great.
The fact that he was supposed to be in the spaceship when it blew up?
I know, right?
It's crazy. So he did come here once, and he came into my room, and before he left, he said, he went into Big Bird's voice and said, "I'm only 6 years old." And then when he went into the other puppet shop where they make the puppets for the shows here, he went into Oscar's voice and said, "Have a rotten day to everybody." And I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
Oh my God, I would have cried.
I sometimes had random people
That's amazing.
before they started locking down all the different doors.
Yeah.
People that, like I was working on a Fraggle, some guy came in with one of the other people who works here, and they were introducing him to me. He was like, "Oh, I made that." And I was like, "What?"
That's
He
amazing.
made that. And we know this is an older Big Bird because turkeys have been so genetically modified at this point that they don't even grow feathers that big anymore.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And if you look over here, Oscar used to be orange.
Oh yeah.
And then one day they made it green.
The original Oscar. It's interesting. Yeah, I don't remember Oscar being orange at all, but I watched it. I've seen every episode.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I worked on every single one of these guys. This is the only one that exists in the whole world. This is Roosevelt Franklin.
Roosevelt.
Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, of course I do.
He has his own record. And what was interesting about Cookie Monster, when I had to flip his head inside out to clean him, his entire mouth palate is made out of a basketball.
Really?
Yeah. I was like,
Is that because of for grip? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe because of the
Because of
rubber.
the texture.
Maybe because of the rubber. All I know is that when I flipped him inside out, I was like, why is it orange and bumpy? And I was like, oh my God, this is a basketball.
Basketball. Fascinating.
I doubt he's made that way now,
Sure.
but he was made that way then. And like I said, because we were the last to get anything, the other companies picked in all the most famous stuff, so we got all of the one-of-a-kind stuff. And yes, these are famous, but they're still old versions. Now, he's actually made out of the cushion foam, and he's been flocked. And the reason he hasn't fallen apart is because the glue of the flocking has basically preserved him.
Oh, okay.
The reason nobody has a Gonzo on display other than us now is because that Scott foam disintegrates.
Oh,
So he literally had no face.
Yeah.
So any old Gonzos have no face.
Makes sense.
But the one we have was recently given to us by Disney, so he's a newer one.
Okay.
And he's not showing any signs of disintegrating, and he's only on loan to us for 5 years.
Cool.
So, and when we're done here, I'll show you pictures of how I conserved it. Because I did that like 3 months ago.
There they are.
Yeah, this is where I have a picture of me, Jeff, and Sharon.
Oh, with Jim?
Yeah. Who were abused by their owners.
Oh no.
Yeah. And they found their way together. It's like an actual story, but then the Muppets did their own version of it, and Kermit does. But we do have, so there were hand puppets and marionette puppets, and we have both sets. And this display case was really designed for that full,
For the
full donkey. And so, but since this museum opened, gosh, it's been 8 years.
Has it been 8 years already?
It's been 8 years. These two are the only two that ever been.
Gotcha.
They've never changed this.
So we're gonna have to go to YouTube and check this out. The Muppet Musicians of Bremen. I've never seen it.
You feel so bad for them because they're like abused by their owners.
Interesting.
This is who I was telling you about. Was also gray. His name is Splurge. Is he from Hey Cinderella? Yeah, he's from Hey Cinderella.
What's he from?
Hey Cinderella. There's a lot of TV specials that Jim did.
Right.
That you just got to go out there and watch. They're so great. And like Leslie Ann Warren was in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The top of his head is a garbage can lid.
Oh.
They rigged a backpack that they made out of aluminum to the top of a garbage can lid that's sitting in the top of his head.
Amazing.
And those boots are like this tall. They came way up here.
Wow.
Yeah, they were really long.
Scooter.
Go in the back corner and look at the back of his jacket.
Does it say Muppet Mayhem or something? Or The Muppet Show! Is that original?
Yes! Yes!
I love it. the host.
I keep hearing music. So even though he's a real Kermit, he was never puppeteered. He was made specifically as a display.
For the museum.
And he was here before this museum. He was in the lobby of the old museum.
Gotcha. Hey, Kermit.
Oh, here's Gonzo.
Juan Carlos. Chicken number 5.
And even though he is a more recent Gonzo, his clothes are actually from Great Muppet Caper. Okay, so those are actual original clothes from the Great Muppet Caper, even though he's like a newish. But it's fascinating how that's all hand carved in his face.
He's very expression filled.
Yeah.
There he is. He's your favorite, right?
So beautiful.
Are you
And the
happy
chicken
that-
and everything.
Yeah. That's his girlfriend. Right?
We don't know.
We think so.
I mean, his girlfriend is Camilla, but who knows who that one is? There were so many of them.
Right.
Same with these penguins.
Yeah, there were tons of them.
And in fact, I think Brian made this one. Let's see.
Just says built by the Jim Henson Company.
Yeah, I think Brian actually had something to do with that.
Puerquitos en el espacio.
Pigs in space.
We got the two of them.
They're over here. There's Miss Piggy.
I did nothing to her other than a photo shoot pretending I was cleaning her. But she is from Muppet Treasure Island? Yeah, Muppet Treasure Island.
I don't know this one. Mad Monty.
He's from Muppet Treasure Island as well.
Okay. Pigs in space.
Now we've had these for years. They were in the old museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to zhuzh them up a little bit.
Well, Vito was just telling me, because I didn't know, the pilot episode of the Muppet Show featured the 7 Deadly Sins auditioning to be
On the Muppet Show.
on the Muppet Show. Which is kind of cool, so I'm going to have to look for that on YouTube as well.
Called Sex and Violence.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the end of sex and violence on television. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Muppet Show.
Yeah, that episode is called Sex and Violence, because Jim Henson didn't want sex and violence on TV.
He wanted to end sex and violence on TV.
Fascinating. I love that. Thanks, Vito, and your Vito-isms.
You're welcome.
He's a wealth of history, everyone.
And I only learned that by putting this stuff together.
Yeah.
And there's a plastic cast of, what's his name? Hoggle.
It's Hoggle!
And this was a photo maquette that somebody had at home that worked for the Hensons and then found out about the museum and donated it. How they got it here and what he sold it.
All right, everyone. So our day here at the Center for Puppetry Arts has come to an end. Museum is closing. But what an incredible time we had with you, Vito.
You did. Thank you.
Vito and I go back so long, and I just...
30 plus years.
To have this moment with you and to share that was really special. I mean, tremendously special. And hopefully you, the viewers, find it as equally intriguing and special, because not many people can say what this man has done.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, because
You're welcome.
all of that brings a lot of memories as a kid. So it's just amazing and beautiful to see all those characters that bring so many memories in front of me, looking as they did back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And due to the work that he did and the conservation team and your partner in conservation, bringing happiness to literally
And
all of those that come here.
It was such a joy to walk in every day.
I can imagine.
I mean, I did it for 3.5 years full time.
Yeah, that's
And to come in every day to touch history,
amazing,
and preserve history, and to see as people, because my door would always be open, people who worked here in rehearsals or whatever would walk by and they'd be like, oh my God, what is that? Can I look at it? And I'm like, you can come and look at it, don't touch nothing.
Sure.
But people are like, can I take pictures? I was like, no.
Yeah.
But this fella has pictures of everything I archived.
Good for you. But anyway, well, as our mantra is, happiness is a lifestyle.
They sure made me happy.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
This entire visit has been very special. So, until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.